Yes, sir.
All right, it is Monday, August 14th, 7:15 PM. And type D Economic Development Corporation and Parks Board meeting. Let's see, citizen forum, we don't have anybody, no citizens, nobody online. Regular agenda, review and discuss questions related to the budget report and financial statement for July 2023.
Well, so we're at right on line finance wise over to meet projections. We're not seeing double digit numbers in sales tax increases now. We're down to single digits, but they are staying on target. So I believe we will hit the budget without any problem. I have noticed, and I've made a couple of notes here. I believe that we're probably owed some money through the Baseball Association. And I'll double check on that. It could be that their payment's been put in a different line. And I've also noticed some money for economic development that may be maybe need to be moved over to TAP A. I'll have to check on under expenditures. There's $19,000 looks like it's been spent, and so we'll check and see what that is. All your other stuff is in line, and no windfalls or significant events have happened.
$33.
Where are you?
Yeah. What more page? Well, yeah.
Oh, y'all got an advertising budget along with economic development for events that y'all may advertise. You've got a $10,000 budget. Nothing's been spent actual or yet, but you're the 833. I don't know what that is.
Looks like it's awarded.
But you hadn't spent anything this year, so I can check and see what it is.
Hadn't seen.
Probably a holdover from last year would be my guess.
Like, that was in July.
Anybody have any questions on this? Okay. Discuss, consider, and possible action on meeting minutes from July 10th, 2023 and July 24th, 2023. Since you're the resource on it, I don't know if you need to talk to it.
No, for the minutes, if you see any corrections or anything needs to be made, if not. This does include your regular meeting and your special meeting in July.
Well, I think everything looks fine on the minutes. I guess we need a motion to approve. Second. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes? Unanimous. Right, number 3, discuss and receive recommendation on amendments to the EDC bylaw.
Okay, this is something type A. request was to review their bylaws and see if there's any changes that needs to be made. The only change that was recommended in your bylaws is section 10, I believe. It's where instead of saying a public hearing will be held, it say a public hearing will be held if required by state law. Also note in here, something type A's been talking about is having 2 alternates for their board. That's allowed in your current bylaws. So that's, in their case, that's an option for the board and city council to consider.
You said section 10, that's
Yeah.
conduct of business.
Now there's the corporation and then there's the bylaws. Let me pull yours.
In section 2 about the alternate.
That's correct. Yeah, in section 10, under public hearing, what's suggested is to change it before expending funds to undertake a project. The board shall hold at least 1 public hearing on the proposed project if required by state law. And just for a little bit of update, when I started this, I've looked at probably 30 other cities' bylaws, just do a comparison, and also an EDC attorney has also reviewed. And this was the only recommendation either one of us could come up with that would benefit the board.
I mean, at the end of the day. The attorney looked at it and got with it.
Yeah, for sure.
I tried.
So. So do we need to,
If you want to change in section 10, if you can make a motion to approve the bylaws with the change.
so yeah, we're looking for a motion to approve section 10 of the bylaws.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the section 10 with the insertion of the bylaws.
Question. Are we, then what happens to section 2? Are we saying that what happens there? We're leaving it.
Right, that section 2, that's the way it currently is. So there's no change to that.
So we're not adding 2 alternates.
That include, right, I mean, the bylaws allows for 2 alternates. And I just highlighted in red because type A EDC was wanting to add alternates, and I have it red so they know it was already in there.
So we're just checking section 2.
Correct.
Section 10.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and all in favor. To approve section 10 change. Unanimous. Okay. Number 4, discuss, consider, and possible action on the proposed fiscal year 2023-24 budget.
So this is your first look of the proposed budget. Again, it's proposed, so it's a living document for the time being. You'll see it again at your meeting next month to formally approve, and then it'll go to city council the end of September for final approval. It has to be approved by October 1st. We're projecting sales tax revenues of $700,000, up 75 from this year. Not as much of an increase as last year, but again, things have started to slow down a bit and level off. Interest income, we've adjusted up from 500 to 15,000. And the regular usage fees for the park, pavilion, JDA, miscellaneous revenues of 1.265 million. or I'm sorry, proceeds from debt, 1.265. That's for the remodeling basically of the park that's getting ready to take place, and those are the loan proceeds from that. Expenditures, most of this is fairly flat. Administrative fees of 15,000, capital outlay of 36,444. That is to purchase an infield, or actually to replace the infield machine that we use at the baseball fields to do the infields, do the dragging and cutting baselines and so forth. The 380 agreement is for the Type B's portion of the 380 agreement in Joshua Station for the Starbucks coffee reimbursement that they get. Banners for the entryway signs that we replace each year. Then the advertising is always just kind of a flat to advertise events and so forth. Community events, $20,000. Those go for things like movies in the park and some of the stuff, joint things we do with the chamber, the Halloween event, the chamber of the YMCA, a few of those things that we help. Joshua United, some of that stuff. Then your debt service, 142,677 will be your debt service for this year. Then the park planning and maintenance, that's the 1.265 for bonds that you see coming in. And the transfers to the general fund are for the salaries and maintenance operations of the park that go into the general fund. And then the parks department has a line item in the budget, and I'll have that for you next month to take a look at, so you can see the line item breakdown for that. And your total expenditures for this year, proposed budgets projected to be $1.983 million, actually 1.984, close to it. But again, that is subject to change as we tighten up numbers, and there haven't been any more requests made. We also did adjust to allow for park manager position so that we can get us a little better grade manager over there. So we've made that adjustment too. We've got that advertised. We've had 2 applicants submitted, neither of which I'm crazy about. So we're still looking for a while. I'm not going to be in a hurry to put a trigger on that until we find the right person. And that may be probably will be after October before we actually get somebody in here. But that's the way the proposal sits now. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have or address any concerns.
We were gonna do for the July, maybe?
No.
No?
We are actually talking about that. Yes, we are. We're just trying to figure out where and what to do. We've talked about a parade. There's been talk about just doing fireworks. There's been talk about a laser light show. There's been talk about drones. We're in the process of gathering all this good stuff up and getting the how, when, and where.
Fireworks, you could have
Yeah, it really does. I mean, laser lights have gotten popular. People are doing laser light shows for that. This drone thing is really, people are really looking at doing that. I think it's fairly expensive, but
I understood that, is there not a class at the school to test out?
does what?
Does the drones, there's a class?
Not to the scale. You're talking about several hundred of them up in the air.
Yeah, I knew
Doing
that,
a
'cause I was checking it. It says-
Synchronized show.
Yeah,
that
like
they-
the Burleson, yeah.
Yeah, so we're, I know North Clifton Hills has done really big in the last couple of years, and it draws a huge crowd.
Yeah, it does.
So we're looking at that. We haven't got anything nailed down that we're trying to do, but we are going to do something. Whether or not it's fireworks or, we're limited to where we can shoot those things off where people can see them. We've lost our last space because of that final phase in Cooper Valley is going in, so we can't shoot them back there. We moved on the private property and that was a nightmare. Had to fix a lot of stuff on that property. We've looked at the detention pond over by the railroad, but the railroad itself can be a challenge and those apartments have to be so far away. So we're struggling to find a place where we can set it up and do it and have access for people to actually watch them and see them.
This might be a stretch, but what about the place where they have the Christmas? Where they drive through out there, like using that land.
After off 917,
Yeah. And
that's out of the city though.
Oh, after off the tollway?
set it up for like a big come together for everybody and we do all kinds of events.
Right.
If they let us lease it, or how would that work?
I don't know. I mean, we could look at that. I'm not sure how that would work.
Yeah.
But we're, you talking about doing them at Christmas time or just doing them there? Our problem with going onto private property has been that they've claimed that we've damaged property and we've had to fix things.
Yeah. That's a liability.
And if something catches on fire, I mean, we have a problem there.
Yeah, it's gonna be dry out there too, and there's a lot. Well, that just goes right back to the park, then, doesn't it?
Well, we don't have parking in the park, but we could do something where the fireworks are shot off at the parking ride and we could park people at the high school in the park. There's plenty of parking there and maybe plan some little outside activities there, stay outside of the stadium, but maybe something with food trucks, maybe a street dance of some sort. So, I mean, we can still look at those. It's just, July is still pretty hot. Of course, there's been a couple of seasons that we've been in the 80s. It's been actually really nice. The last couple of years we did it in the high school. We had really decent weather. We've talked about moving it back, putting the stage back behind the big auditorium there where there is shade in the evenings and maybe having a live band and some food trucks and stuff out there. And so that's a possibility. It's just a matter of getting the details worked out. But we are looking at it. And that's not in here, just so you know.
Oh, we should be talking this.
Well, it's just not included in the budget now. We can talk about it if we decide to do something, we can always look at funding. But we would look at an outside funding source to try to find some sponsors. And we have some local sponsors that have wanted to step up and do some things that are doing really well. And so we would have those conversations. We could certainly get part of it sponsored in.
Whatever happened to the idea of the circus?
There was a reason that we couldn't do that. What was the reason?
Clowns.
No, it wasn't.
All of the city.
Oh, it was cash. Yeah, it was cash payment only.
He's calling me too.
Tell him to change his policy and we'll
He
be happy
said
to
he
talk to
could,
him.
he could work with us on that. And I just.
I mean, I'm sure they do a lot of cash
He
dealings.
explained that before, because he pays his people.
Yeah, to pay his people. They're from out of town and all that. So I get it. It's just figuring out how we can do that without receipts is problematic. So, but it might be something we can work out. It's not a dead idea. It's just on the back burner.
Okay.
Thank you, because we have one question.
Okay.
Right up there at the top on page 1, it says downtown infrastructure. 1. Is that a typo?
Yeah, it's probably a typo from last year's audited number.
Yeah.
There's nothing plugged in right now for the downtown infrastructure. That could change. But we're still working all that out. We might need a little help on this water line.
Might need what?
Might need a little help on this big water line they're putting down through here.
Oh, we already did that.
Not all of it.
Only knew somebody.
Yeah, if we only knew somebody. I'm not sure if that request is gonna be made yet. We're still taking a look at it. We partnered with the water district to help pay for that line because it's gonna mean so much for development down here. And the deal that we got worked out with them actually, when they upsized it, solves fire flow problems for us almost throughout the city. It solves the problems in Joshua Station, where we had fire flow problems. We got a bigger line coming in from that direction. The 16-inch won't go all the way down, but it will tie in at 174, go a little bit to the south to a bigger 10-inch line that comes under it's 10 or 12 that comes under the road, and then we'll go south. And so it increases fire flows all up and down 174 and Main Street. So we're getting a lot of benefit out of that since it's so big. So it's going to help out a lot.
Okay, do we need to approve this or?
No, you don't need to
not?
Just for y'all to get a look at, ask questions. Yeah, just kind of let you know where we are, where your numbers are falling. And if there's anything that y'all want to see that's not on here, then tell me, and so we can take a look at it and get it in there for something specific that you have.
This is posted online, so we get a copy of it.
Correct.
It is.
Okay, any other questions on the proposed 2023-24 budget? Discuss and receive an update on the city park project.
Better get ready for this.
Right. Okay,
Flash it on the screen, Alice.
it's up here. Okay, the only thing that's left to do is to pick the colors of everything. And so now listen, I'm gonna propose something. Keep in mind, the colors I'm gonna show you are not gonna be as bright as they are on the screen. So it's gonna look very bright. And keep in mind, one thing we talked about is if someone drives down the road, they're gonna see this park and say, wow. Well, this will make it say, wow. Okay.
I love it.
That's the basketball court, blue and red. And everything, you're gonna see a lot of bright colors, basic colors for children, but it all ties in together. Okay. On this one here, this is up to 2-year-olds. They will actually be a little bit more red. The company did not get the new colors in time, but there's some red, but it'd be a little bit more red in there. And then this one, it's hard to tell, but it's a lot of blue, red poles, a little bit of green. And then of course, here's the most beautiful one, I think. And you'll see, well, you'll see like the slide, there's a little bit of yellow on the other side. It's hard to tell here. The slide is green and gray mixed in. Wanted to keep the basic colors to show it's a ship. Okay, now next, now it's hard to tell, but imagine this with blue turf at the bottom. That way it looks like water. It just looks like water. That way there's the ship on top of water.
That's a pretty dark blue. I think it get hot.
All of those will be lighter. I said I could not change the colors, make them lighter. All of these colors on the turf will be lighter. I just took these off an image of Google. Here's the blue one. That's for a 2 to 5-year-old. As you can see, there's some red poles. It all ties in, but imagine it's a light red next to the blue that goes with the blue playground. Now, here's the smaller one with the green turf, which is the basic color like grass. It's turf. It's going to look like grass. Yes. Yeah. And so usually you see you can go in parks and you see all kinds of different colors, different designs. So the thought was with each section, since there is 3 different themes, have their own color with each different ones. And so with this, imagine if you drive down a road, you're going to see these beautiful bright colors with this amazing park equipment. That's right. That's not around this area at all. Right.
That's
Seizure.
That was blue, all of it, that one right there is not my favorite. But
It-
that-
Well, that looks more purple, but it's
It
actually
does.
going to be more.
It's blue. And if you see it not on the screen here, where I've copied it, it's absolutely gorgeous. So there's a little bit of green just to tie in with the other colors, but the reds are bright. It's a beautiful blue color.
That's gonna be awesome.
Is there a way to kind of see it all together, like the transition of different colors of turf? I mean, is it?
I can try. Yeah.
Just kinda curious.
Yeah, I can actually try. I've been playing with it, just putting this together, just kind of get an idea of like I said, a turf or it's a lot lighter color.
Place can put one
Yeah.
And this is what I was going down at the city park.
Correct.
Oh, that's fun.
Not including the swings and a few other little things, but these are the major equipment.
So we sold on that basketball court?
No, no,
Nothing in stone.
I just went online and looked at all kinds of different ones, other parks and just,
We just didn't want it to look as just boring and dull as it
Mhm.
does. So we wanted to
Yeah.
brighten it up,
yeah.
but
And the main goal is to keep the nature look, like with the ship, it's staying brown and all that. But at the same time, add in the fun for kids, what gets their attention, bright colors, the bright basic colors.
what you thinking on the basketball court, man?
Is that your real thought?
So is it the blue or red?
Blue's white. I think blue and white would be, the problem with blue and white is the white gets really.
Yeah,
dark,
it
right?
would
So-
not be white for long.
Mainly red with the blue and the white. Pop the colors.
What? Pardon?
Go pop the colors.
Make it more red and less blue?
That would be bad.
And the goal was just try to tie it all in. So if you're looking out from the street, everything's tied together
Yeah.
with the colors. There's a lot of bright colors. It's kind of uniform.
What we're not seeing here is a splash pad.
But that,
Ah,
actually, we looked at that before because it looks like fish. Do you remember? It had that in there already.
Does that have shade over it?
This one right here.
Yes.
I want to say yes, but I would have to double check. There was either shading over it or there was shading. Yeah.
I was thinking so too, but all the drawing said, I didn't see.
I didn't do any shading on here. That other one, that's built in with it. It came with it. The other one's not.
Shading over all that, including the little umbrellas that are on.
There's a lot of shading going around the park, including over the splash pad. I can't remember if the shading was actually over there or there was a sitting area with shading. I would have to double check. That was this one right here.
Oh,
Because there's already shading throughout, because that came with the equipment. Yeah.
I would think that.
Yeah.
I think there's shade
Yeah.
on all of them.
Yeah, we did a lot of shading in that budget.
Yeah.
And then with this one, you don't want to put shading over this equipment, because it is so big.
$200,000 things.
We added, I believe, 16. Yeah, there was a lot. And all of them was shading.
Golf course.
What shade
Yeah.
is that?
We add in the frisbee golf. That's a standard, so I didn't put that in here.
Anybody dopey enough to play that game? this summer?
That was probably. That's it, yeah.
But you gotta remember, in a survey, everybody wanted it.
It did.
Mhm.
Again,
How tall is that pirate ship? Say,
I would have to look. I don't want to lie to you. It's big.
it is, right?
It is really big. Not only is it tall, it's long. As you can see, it's two big sections put together along with that middle section. And to go, and
About to say,
Yeah.
where's all of that? So,
I didn't think that area when.
it's actually, well, where it's raised up, it's actually gonna be even. It's gonna be smooth. That's right. That's right. It won't be
no, it's
It
gonna
would be
filled
filled in.
The playground will still be raised. It's all the mulch will come
Yeah,
out
and
and
it's
fill it
going.
in the dirt.
and it's extended a little bit right there. So, and I can try to get you a better picture of it.
So all this is gonna be on dirt now? Instead of.
Turf.
Turf.
Mhm. Yeah.
Doing away with-
So those little chips will be pulled and filled in.
Wood chips.
Yes. It's one of the most recommended things to put down in a park.
Be able to see the snakes better. Be able
I
to
think
see
it
it
looks
right
fine.
away.
I mean, if everybody's on board with that.
You won't play basketball on it?
I probably would play some horse or something.
There's all
Oh,
kinds
white.
of colors. I mean, I think the concept of a color scheme to tie it in is good, but you know,
No, I get it. Yeah,
We did pretty good. Yeah,
Yes,
it's just pretty.
as long as we.
It's very-
maintain no inches around there, cars.
Are we set to go on this project?
everything's been signed, all the documents turned in, council's approved everything. We will receive the funds in October.
So just, if we say we want to pick some more colors or change the colors, it's not gonna delay.
The equipment cannot be ordered until the colors are picked. So once we say, yes, it's good to go, I send in that purchase order and say, here it is, you know, it's good to go. And he orders it. Like I said, it can take up to 2 months to get.
The colors were good on everything else.
Yeah. Well, now the basketball court, now is that a tile? I mean, like the school used to have those little tiles that laid, you know. they
It's the
stacked
flex court. Yes, with the flex court, if something goes wrong in one area, you can replace that.
together, you know, without the
well,
lane.
I wouldn't say a whim. I mean, that's a lot of, I mean, I get what you're saying. We can still change the color. That's not a big deal, but hopefully the surface on it's gonna be easier to maintain. Of course, we're gonna fence it, so that'll keep the cars off of it. And that's what's done the damage now, is cars getting on it.
We're still gonna put the things around the park too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
cable fence,
We got
yeah,
cameras now,
cameras, yep.
coming or now?
They will be there along with this project.
I like it.
They're funded in the next year's budget.
Anybody see an issue with any of this?
The only thing I can see an issue is what color the little thing right there.
Yeah, I always use the yellow basketball to make it blend in.
Why don't we look at some options and we can shoot those out by email and y'all can respond back. If you
Yeah,
like
and
something
usually
different.
what they put wherever the umbrella would be on that smallest one.
I would double check that tomorrow
Yeah.
and I can let y'all know by email if you like.
But that's a lot of plastic.
It
and
is.
that doesn't have something. This little guy with it.
Yes. And I want to say it does, but I don't want to tell you something wrong without looking.
You would shake cloth is just like what we have down there now,
Yeah.
that whatever mesh it is, we bought.
You can bet it's over the benches
Yeah,
now.
that stuff lasts for about
The ballpark bleachers.
Oh,
You know, that,
Mhm.
it's like over here at TD.
yeah, it lasts for a
Yeah.
long time. That
Yeah.
stuff in the park's been up at the ball field's been up for years. It's been longer than that. We've replaced a couple of them because from hail damage.
You know,
Yeah, after a few years, but
What if we replace the red with a green?
mhm. Is it a blend in? I mean, because that's the basic colors.
blue, green, or green and blue, yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's green now.
no, it's blue.
Oh, is it blue?
Blue with black tread marks, it's nice.
Speedway.
So how about if I pick like 5 different ones tomorrow with some of this discussion and send it out? Okay. So are y'all good with everything else? So we can get that stuff ordered?
We should make it blue and gold. Blue.
I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
You like that?
We can get the fence. Gold and Kim, you can put some bling on the post, you know.
Yeah.
No, I know he's probably ready to use mine.
All right, all right, I guess that's, we didn't need to make any decision. All right, future agenda items.
Colors, blue, green.
Colors, development. Okay, no future agenda items.
Are you, if you're gonna send that out, can we send you our answers and then? just wrap
Absolutely.
it up?
Mhm.
You don't have to wait till the next month.
No, because I want to ask you to vote on it. Just ask kind of like your opinion
Yeah.
of it, and then we'll
Yeah.
just go with the biggest flow of it.
It's gonna be red.
Red, blue, one.
7:49.
Wait, I want to ask you a question. If you don't mind. Since I've been on, all I wanted to know was, since I knew what else is this board doing?
Okay.
That's
Oh,
it.
yeah, it has to be on the agenda. Are we adjourned? Or-
You're, you get on council.
Okay.
I think we're adjourned.